this tent. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got these massive souls. We're Luton people, and that's what we care about.
Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. I'm Kev, your host as always, and if you saw our monthly podcast, you'll know that I've got alongside me Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe and Trust board member Helen Gatward. Peeps, how are we?
Good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to proper football being back.
Yep, very much looking forward to Saturday.
Excellent. Yes, as am I. And the Saturday in question is this coming Saturday where Luton Town are away to Nottingham Forest. 3 o'clock kickoff, City Ground. If you haven't got a ticket, bad luck because it's already sold out in the Luton end. And yeah, it should be a good one. 3,000 tickets sold. All good. And I mean, if you're a rugby fan as well, what an away day this is going to be on Saturday. You've got the football at 3 o'clock. You've got England in the rugby at 8 o'clock. Sounds like a good day to me, Jimbo.
Yeah, I went up for it. Who are we playing in the rugby? Is that a thing? Do we care?
Well, I mean, it was a semi-final, isn't it? Obviously, we're going to win it.
And that's as much egg chasing as we're talking about today. Then back to the football.
Fair enough. H, you looking forward to the game?
I am, yes. Yeah, can't beat an away day to Nottingham.
No, that is true. And actually, this is kind of familiar territory because it's only 2 years ago that we were in the same league as this lot. And my God, did they moan about not getting manager of the season that season. I'm sure they're still whinging about it, actually. But a little bit like Fulham, we kind of know what to expect here. We've been there before. Pretty much all of this squad, or not all of this squad, but a lot of the squad were involved in that game. Since then, they've signed roughly 426,925 players. I might have miscounted one or two. Do forgive me if I have. But we're in comfortable, familiar territory.
Yeah, it's not quite as daunting as going to one of the other Premier League clubs, that's for sure. So, yeah. And obviously the fans know Nottingham very well as well from previous away days. So I think it's one that most Luton fans look forward to.
When it comes to away days in Nottingham, you just can't not think back to that Notts County away day at the end of League Two season, can you? It's just magical day, and if we can have one like that on Saturday, it'd be rather nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, if Luton can get promoted from the Premier League, Forest, then that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
I mean, if we can get promoted from the Premier League anywhere, it'd be pretty amazing.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it would be, a result up there would be fantastic. I class them as one of the teams that are in this little league with Luton. I don't think anyone seems to be pegging them for relegation candidates, and I think they're probably right there. They're probably maybe towards the top of that little league, but nonetheless, they're a team that there's points to be had.
We usually pick out 3 players from the opposition. We had to go through a bloody lengthy squad list to pick out 3 players this time around. They seem to be the darling of the pundits of the Premier League, don't they? Because they've done it the right way by spending God knows how much money and bringing in so many players that's what you've got to do in this league. But the one that's of real kind of interest, really, Morgan Gibbs-White, he was ironically involved in Notts Forest getting promoted from the Championship, but that's because he missed the penalty for Sheffield United in the playoff semi-final that got them to the final, etc., etc., etc. But apparently he's on England's radar. He should be on England's radar because he's a damn good player, and he needs to be on our radar, and Marvellous needs to keep him quiet.
Yeah, he's a dangerous player, no doubt about it. One of their top performers at the moment. I don't think there's anything that we should be too scared of. I'm pretty relieved that Awoniyi's not playing because he looks like he's fitted in really well. And
not as relieved as I am that you've pronounced his name and not me.
There you go. I had a bit of practice. But yeah, he's their top scorer obviously as well, and he looks like an absolute unit. So he'd cause a bit of bother, I think, to anybody, not just Luton. I think looks like quite a good player. So the fact that he's out is good. Then I think that the goals have been shared around equally between a couple of the other players, and obviously Gibbs White is one of them. So he's a danger man for sure. And it'd be interesting to see that little battle with Marv.
Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White's one of the 425,000 players. They've got not three of them like it sounds like he might be. Yeah, he is. For me, he's the danger man. I like watching him, actually, to be fair. I liked watching him when he played at Sheffield United. And, he's only gone from strength to strength under Steve Cooper, who managed him at Swansea. I think he had him on loan in the past as well, so he obviously knows how he works. Someone that Luton haven't come up against yet, but they could have done on a different day, is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Very good signing. Probably didn't work out for him at Chelsea, but he's one of about 400 million players that it hasn't worked out for at Chelsea. He went out on loan to Europe last year, and now Notts Forest took him at the start of this summer. There is quality in that boy.
That's one of the signings of the summer, I think. How they managed to get him for £5 million is something that needs to have a documentary about it, I imagine. He's a quality player. Not making it at Chelsea is no big thing, really, is it? There's a lot of players that have gone there, and a lot of big players in him that have gone to Chelsea and completely fluffed up their entire career, really. So fair play on him for spotting that it wasn't going to happen there and going somewhere else. He is a really good player. He's someone that should also be on England's radar if he gets playing how he could do. He's a threat and not scared of a shot. As that last game Forest played, his first goal, I think. Was it first goal?
I think it was the game before, wasn't it? But against Brentford.
Good finish that. So if you give him a bit of space, well, actually he made his own space for that, but if you give him some impetus, then he'll definitely take a pop from somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. We could go all full Graham Jones here and pick out, I don't know, Nigel Clough, John McGovern, Archie Gemmell, someone else of their European Cup winning era for a third player to look at. But we'll go with Chris Wood because he's probably going to replace the man up front. That certainly was the case at Crystal Palace. Probably a journeyman striker, but he's not the one. He's not going to be that mobile striker like Son Heung-min was for Tottenham, or even like Calvert-Lewin was for Everton. He's very much going to be in the box feeding off crosses. So you kind of think that Tom Lockyer will relish that battle?
I think so. If you pay attention to the stats websites or you read them, he's pretty poor at everything but the aerial duel, Chris Wood. I hope he doesn't have a blinder, by the way, now I've said that. That seems to be what he's good at. And if they play to that particular strength, then you'd fancy Luton defenders to gobble that up all day long. So let's hope they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite comfortable with that. I'm with you. I think the Nigerian fella, Awoniyi. Yeah, him. I think he might be more of a threat than what would be. That's not necessarily to diminish any threat from Wood, but ultimately Tom's strengths are strikers that are going to match up to him, and
he's not going to be showing him a clean pair of heels, that's for sure. And that's obviously something that is a weakness for Tom, however much we love him, but that's not going to happen in that regard. I mean, that's not to say that Hudson-Odoi or Gibbs-White couldn't possibly offer that threat, but in a one-on-one, I think, Lockyer would be quite happy to go up against Wood.
Yeah, if they are the three main threats, though, you're kind of comfortable with that because you'll have Marv on Gibbs-White for the most part. You'll have Issa Kabore presumably down the right-hand side, or Reece Burke on Hudson-Odoi.
Let's see if he plays. I mean, Kabore didn't start for the last game.
No, that's it. So, obviously we'll come on to Luton formations and everything else in a moment, but I'm comfortable that whoever's on that side will be sufficient enough, and I'm very confident or comfortable that Lockyer will deal with Chris Wood. They're not off to a flyer at home, Helen, Notts Forest. 2 draws and a win. The win against Sheffield United was in the last minute where the aforementioned Wood scored the winner after Hamer of Coventry scored an absolute worldie for Sheffield United to equalise. Last season they were very strong at home. This season maybe not so strong at home, and we go there having won our last away game. So hopefully the boys will be confident and get another result out of this one.
Yeah, hopefully. I think the win away at Everton would obviously have boosted the confidence, proved that they can do it. Although we lost against Spurs, again, I think it was a very good performance, very strong performance, especially the second half. So there's no reason why we can't go away on Saturday and carry on as we are and hopefully take the 3 points.
And even the away game before Everton, Fulham away, we're probably the better team in that for the most part as well. So actually, away from home, we're not fearing anything away from home.
No, definitely not. I was at the Fulham game, and at most, I think we should have taken a point. Again, points dropped, but yeah, I don't think there's anything to fear going away, especially to Forest.
No, I don't think there is either. The one thing about Forest that I've seen, or that I think I've seen, is you can get at them defensively. Unfortunately, our friend Ethan isn't between the sticks. That would be a mighty help, especially if we got a penalty, because we knew he'd dive the wrong way. But in front of them, you've got some kind of aging defenders. But the one that I'm really looking forward to is down our left-hand side, their right-hand side. Chio against Serge Aurier. I mean, Serge Aurier, to be fair to him, he's played for some bloody big clubs, PSG, Tottenham. I don't rate the fella at all. Chio could have a field day down there. He's so reckless defensively, Aurier, it's untrue. And I hope he plays. They've got the Argentina winning right back on loan from Sevilla, haven't they? Montiel, I think he's called. So I hope he don't play, and I hope it's Aurier, because Chio could have some right old fun in that.
I'd fancy him against pretty much everyone, except Kyle Walker probably. I mean, even that is a touch and it's a neck and neck battle, perhaps. It'd be interesting to see that when that comes along. But yeah, he's just such an old-fashioned winger, really, and that doesn't really seem to be in the Premier League makeup at the moment. Even when you look at top-performing wingers, Mo Salah, for instance, he's more of a striker, isn't he? But he plays wide, but he's more of a front three striker. I mean, he's much more than that. He's an absolutely stunning player. I'm not doing the best of service there with that one. Just to point out that, but as an out and out winger who wants to just run past you and get to the byline, I think he's at this moment in time, he's a really exciting prospect in this division, and I fancy him against anyone really. But yeah, I think if you come up against is he a World Cup winning?
World Cup winner, the Argentina Villa, yeah.
Yeah, you don't do that for nothing, do you? So it'd be an interesting battle. But even if it's him or Aurier, then I back Chio all the way on that one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've just come up against a World Cup winning defender in Romero, who actually bossed the game. So hopefully they leave their World Cup winner on the bench and play one of the other many millions of players they've got in Aurier. That would be good. Helen, we spoke in our monthly preview that we released earlier in the week that Chio was one of your favourite players. Big pitch at the City Ground. You must be looking forward to watching him there.
Yeah, whether it's Kenilworth Road or an away game, like I said before, once he gets the ball and once he goes, I just get so excited, because it's like just watching him run, knock the ball past, run. It's just great.
Yeah, he really is. And yeah, I think we're all looking forward to that battle down that side, whether it is Aurier, I hope it's Aurier, or Montiel. It'll be great. Maybe, who knows, maybe it'll switch to the other side, because there are no great shakes on the other side either. Toffolo, I think it is on the other side, who was a pain in the arse for Huddersfield in that playoff season, wasn't he? He was the fellow who tormented us down that side. And I think he's on some sort of charge for betting activity or something or other. So,
oh, yeah, well, I mean, he'd still play unless he's actually convicted, I suppose, wouldn't he? I've not heard that myself, but
I think he is. I think I'm right in that. I think it's got some sort of suspension hanging over him anyway, but that's by the by, that's the left-hand side.
What about Aurier if he plays? Do you think particularly Chio could exploit?
He just dives in. Every single time I've seen the bloke play, whether it's for PSG, whether it's for Tottenham, Ivory Coast, whoever I've seen him play for, he just dives in when he's defending. Yeah, he's very quick, and he's a modern day fullback. He'll go forward, but defensively, I think we'll get right at him. And if we can get him in the book, well, happy days, because there'll be another mistake to come from him, that I'm sure. It'll be interesting to see how they go down that side, actually, because there isn't a great deal of pace in the Forest defence from what I've seen. Scott McKenna, I mean, journeyman defender. Joe Worrell, same again, really. I think they've signed overseas defender as well, who looked all right, but he got sent off in the game against Brentford. He'll be back for this one, obviously, because they played Palace since then. But they don't look great shapes to me defensively, Forest. Although, to be fair, they haven't really been taken to the cleaners. But I think we can get at them. I really do. And it'll be interesting to see how we go. Whether we go back 4 like we did against Tottenham, or whether we're back to a back 5. And just how do you foresee that one going? Do you kind of see everyone shifting along one and Kabore coming in, or so we think we're recording this before Rob's press conference as we always do. We're pretty sure Amari Bell still won't be fit. No. They haven't actually said the extent of his injury, but the fact he's off for scans would suggest it's quite bad. So do you see them all sliding across and Kabore playing right wing back, or do you see us playing a back 4 again?
Well, back 4 worked quite well against Spurs. I mean, it's a different set of challenges, I suppose, but that seemed to work well with the personnel that they've got at the moment. But I think that they could probably play both, but change it up in game, because I think Rob's talked about going to away grounds and being quite compact to start with, which is understandable, and it will annoy home fans and get them fearing, and then maybe switch it up. I think that they've shown that they can do that now, so that is an option. But I wouldn't be upset at all if they went back 4, because to me that seems more attacking.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, whether we do that in an away game, like you say, that would be the interesting one. I mean, you mentioned the Notts Forest fans. It always baffles me. They start singing a Christmas song before the start of each half. Mull of Kintyre. I mean, it's not Christmas, lads. Well, what's it all about?
Maybe they can sing a song about you for calling them Notts Forest all day.
Let them do that. But if they can tell me why they sing a bloody Christmas song before the start of every half of football, that would be that would be handy. Barkley or Townsend, do you see either of those coming into the side to start off with H?
I think it's possibly too early for Townsend. Barkley I can see probably on the bench, coming on towards the end of the game like he did against Spurs. But yeah, I think it's maybe too early for Townsend to make it onto the bench at the moment. But
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does get onto the bench, because obviously we're only going to get 10 or 15 minutes out of him these days anyway. But also it's just that little bit of quality that they probably don't know that he's not going to play, do they? So if they see his name on the bench, they might think, crikey, hope he don't come on for the last 10 or 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, we're not spoken to Rob yet, but you would have fancied that he'd have played a behind closed doors game perhaps somewhere to get him more up to speed. He's not going to start. I would be absolutely, my jaw would hit the floor if I see his name on the team sheet to start. I don't think anyone should be expecting that, but as an impact player to come off the bench, it'd be interesting whereabouts he goes. I know we've got the flexibility with Chio that could move back slightly like he did against Spurs, and then maybe he goes ahead of that, but he could equally play in probably a front 3, or maybe just sitting behind somewhere. There's a lot of options, I suppose, there, but as to where they're going to utilise him at the moment, we don't know. But that's kind of exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Barkley, do you see him starting?
No, not at the moment. I think he's going to have to work his way back into the team. We're talking about coming off the back of a defeat against Spurs, but the team played really well. I think, arguably, I mean, when they made the changes towards the end of Barkley came on, I thought they were probably less effective. Which, if you look at it in the in the cold light of day, that I think probably that doesn't merit him his start on the bench. But it's going to be an interesting one with him, because obviously people might think that he should, but I don't think you sort of mess with the team dynamic too much at the moment, because they played really well against Spurs, and that's something to be positive about.
At least everyone will be comfortable if he does start the game now that he clapped everyone after the Spurs game.
I've got a video of that because he was the only one up there for a long time, and he was sort of looking behind him going, is anyone going to join me?
And they were like, no, you've been called out for it. You toddle off and do it yourself. Absolutely. Tahith Chong, he came off the bench against Spurs and looked really, really good. Can you see a place for him, or are you expecting a similar side to the one that started against Spurs?
I'd like to see him start because I think he's a very exciting player. Him and his hair. The feeling he'll probably be on the bench. But if he comes on like he did against Spurs and makes that kind of impact, then I'd be quite happy with that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was his best cameo actually, and
Best performance in a Luton shirt. Yeah, I thought so as well.
Played really well.
Yeah, in a way that I don't think Barkley really contributed much to that when he came on, but Chong was quite dynamic in that game.
Yeah, he was. I guess the problem is if you're going to bring him in, who do you bring him in for? Chio, no. Morris, no. Jacob Brown? Or Pelly. But, I mean, obviously in this game, you're going to want Pelly against, away from home against a team that are most likely going to see most of the ball and attack. So, it's just where you play Chongy, and it's, unless you replace Brown, and that would be pretty harsh, wouldn't it?
I mean, his performances his defensive work is fantastic as well. That's perhaps something that Chong has to work on a bit. He's going forward, he is exciting, but going the other way, I have no doubt that they'll be working on that with him. Absolutely, but I mean, the only thing you can say about Brown is that he's not hit the target yet, when he probably should have a couple of times. But he acknowledged that when you spoke to him in the exclusive podcast he did last week. He's comfortable that he's getting in the right positions, which is he is, and he's having a few chances, but he just wants to head it down a bit more, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and the one time he does get it on target, the smallest bloke on the bloody pitch pops up from nowhere, heads it off the line. I mean, help us out, please. It's an interesting one. So, how do you see that? I mean, I've referenced the 2 seasons ago, drew 0-0 there. Elijah missed a penalty in the last minute or so. Beat them 1-0 here when, my God, did they whinge. Alan Campbell scored the goal on what was actually a very good Friday that time. So they're both tight games, 0-0, 1-0. Do you see this one being tight, or are you expecting a few goals in this one, H?
I think it'll be tight.
Don't give us your score prediction yet. We'll get that at the end, that's for sure. Tight game, open game. What sort of game are we going to see, James?
I've said a tight game for all of them, so let's just go for a goal fest.
I don't know for sure, but when teams come off of an international break, are they lower scoring or are they higher scoring because they've had 2 weeks to work on it? Have you got a subconscious thought on it?
No, I haven't. I'm sure there's probably some stats out there. I mean, it's going to be the same for everyone, I suppose. I don't know how many internationals they've got, but I think they've got more than Luton.
Well, I mean, they have got 65 times more players than Luton.
It depends where they're coming from as well, I suppose. Like Kabore has been halfway around the world again, hasn't he, to play international friendly. So I don't know where that leaves him, but who knows? I don't think, with the size of the squads they've got, particularly Forest, surely they should be able to cope with that.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, the last international break was before the Fulham away game, which we've just alluded to. We should have got something out of, and then obviously subsequent games we've got a draw and we got a win. So we come out the last international break pretty good. So with a couple of weeks of extra training, although I think Rob did give the boys the first few days off, quite rightly so, because 3 games in a week isn't enough for anyone. You would kind of like to think that there's going to be that continued improvement again.
Yeah, I think after a break, I think they'll probably all be ready and raring to get back out there and trying to improve the results, start getting the points. And obviously, as we said, they've improved game on game. So I think they'll be definitely ready to go out there, continue, and hopefully get the win.
Yeah, that would be rather nice. Yeah, I'm comfortable that we'll improve again. I really do. I still think there's plenty of improvement in. It's not just because of, like, that's not to say that we've played badly, because we haven't, but because we've got so many players that are integrating in, it's just natural improvement to come from this side. The more training that they do together. Okay, I know Chio was away, and I know Brown was away on international duty. Tom Lockyer, and as you said, Issa was away as well. But in the main, the Barkleys, the Townsends, the Chongs, those kind of creative players they've had 2 weeks of training, or the better part of. Hopefully we see plenty from them. That would be rather nice. We'll end the podcast, as we always do, with our score predictions. H, as you're the guest, we'll start with you for this one. Notts Forest v Luton. How does it finish?
2-1 to Luton.
2-1 to Luton. Jimbo, how are we going with Forest v Luton? You've just said it's going to be a goal fest, so anything less than 4-3 either way, and I'm not going to be impressed.
Stolen my thunder. That's what I was going to go for, 4-3. I think they're going to go 3-0 up and Luton comes storming back.
It's like Wrexham back in the day, isn't it? Just, you've got me reminded of that game. Obviously, that was the other way around to what we hope would be the case on Saturday. I think Luton are going to win this game, actually. I'm quite comfortable with this. Yeah, they're a good side, but I don't think they're certainly not better than Tottenham, that's for sure. And we could quite easily have got a point out of them. I don't think they're a great deal better than Everton, really, on what I've seen. Certainly the numbers would suggest they're no better than Everton. Beat Everton 2-1. I'm with H. We win this one 2-1 as well. I'm pretty comfortable with that one. Looking forward to a really great away game, though. Away day, sorry. Nottingham's an absolute brilliant city to have an away day in. And as I say, if you're a rugby fan as well, stay around, watch a bit of rugby. Hopefully England make it through to the final, and everyone's happy, obviously, after Luton win 3 points.
Just remember, Nottingham fans, he's called you Notts all day, so he'll be up there.
Listen, if it's good enough for Notts County, it's good enough for Notts Forest, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, just put your tears in the comments, will you? And just let us know how you feel about being called Notts.
And if and when the score predictions come true, James will reply to each and every single one of them by making sure that you're well aware of where our review podcast is for that match, which will be our next podcast.
If my score prediction comes in, I'll be doing I might rerun the Luton half marathon.
Have we got that? Have we got that on audio? We've got that on camera, have we? We'll keep hold of that. If your score prediction comes in, I'm not even sure that even my ticker could take that, to be fair. So, especially if it comes in the way that you said it is, I'll be off down the pub at 3-0.
If my score prediction ever comes in, I'm making a bloody big deal about it on this podcast. It might be the only thing we get to talk about. I can't remember the last time I got one right.
Well, let's hope you get this one right. 4-3 Luton would be very, very good indeed. But any Luton win will do. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you've consumed this podcast. Thanks to James. Thanks to Helen. It's been great having you on for a second time. Well done. Really appreciate you coming on, and can't wait to have you back on again in the future, H. Thank you to the Hightown Club for hosting this podcast. Once again, if you have heard a bit of background noise, they do have entertainment on at the times that we record this podcast. We do our best to dampen it out, but we're really grateful for them hosting us, and just apologise for that once again. Thank you to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music. Thanks to Ed Smith Creative for all of the designs that you see on our set and on our podcast premiums. You've been listening to the longest running Luton Town podcast, the only one that's gone from League 2 to the Premier League, and the number one Luton Town podcast, according to a ranking that was sent to us last week. Until next time, come on, you Atters.
I love this town. I love this town. I love this town. You know what I love about this town is actually you. Everyone in it has got this massive soul.